Ivar stood alone on the vast stage of the university auditorium, the weight of his cap and gown feeling heavier than the summa cum laude honors he'd earned. As the dean called his name, the applause from the crowd was polite but distant, a hollow echo in the sea of families cheering for their own. He scanned the rows desperately one last time, hoping against hope to spot his parents' familiar faces, but the seats he'd reserved remained empty, a stark reminder that his coming out had cost him more than just their approval. It had started 2 years ago, during his junior year at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. Ivar Thompson, a bright-eyed literature major from a conservative suburb in Ohio, had always known he was different. But it wasn't until he met Jordan Reyes in a creative writing workshop that the pieces fell into place. Jordan, with his easy smile and sharp wit, was openly gay and unapologetic about it. Their late-night discussions about poetry turned into stolen glances, then tentative touches, and finally, a kiss under the autumn leaves that changed everything. Coming out to his family was supposed to be liberating. Ivar had rehearsed the words 100 times, picturing a tearful but ultimately accepting embrace from his mother, Linda, a devout churchgoer, and his father, Mark, a stoic factory manager who valued tradition above all. Instead, the dinner table erupted in chaos. "This is a phase," his father had bellowed, his face reddening. "You're throwing away your future for some fad." His mother wept silently, clutching her rosary, whispering about sin and salvation. His younger sister, Emily, just 16, looked at him with wide eyes, caught between loyalty and confusion. The fallout was swift and brutal. Phone calls went unanswered, visits home were canceled, and financial support trickled to a halt. Ivar worked 2 jobs to pay tuition, scraping by on ramen and determination. Jordan became his anchor, their relationship blossoming amidst the storm. They shared a cramped apartment off campus, where Jordan's warmth chased away the chill of rejection. "Family isn't just blood," Jordan would say, pulling Ivar close. "It's who shows up for you." As graduation approached, Ivar clung to a sliver of hope. He sent invitations, even included a heartfelt letter pleading for understanding. "I love you, and I want you there," he wrote. "This is who I am." The response was silence, then a terse email from his father. "We can't support this lifestyle. It's against everything we believe." The words stung like a slap, but Ivar refused to let it break him. He threw himself into preparing his valedictorian speech, channeling his pain into words that might inspire others. The day of the ceremony dawned bright and unseasonably warm, the campus buzzing with excitement. Ivar arrived early, his heart pounding. Jordan was there, of course, beaming with pride as he adjusted Ivar's tie. "You're going to kill it up there," Jordan said, his voice steady. "And I'll be right in the front row," cheering louder than anyone. They shared a quick kiss, drawing a few curious glances from passersby, but Ann Arbor was progressive enough that no one batted an eye. As the procession began, Ivar's mind raced. He thought of the countless nights studying alone, the friends who'd become his chosen family, and the love that had sustained him. But the empty seats gnawed at him. When his turn came to speak, he stepped to the podium, gripping the edges to steady his nerves. The microphone hummed to life and he began. "Ladies and gentlemen, faculty, friends and family, those present and those absent," he said, his voice clear and resonant. The crowd quieted, sensing the gravity in his tone. "Today, we celebrate not just our achievements, but the journeys that brought us here. Mine has been one of discovery, of embracing truths that others might reject." He paused, scanning the audience again. Jordan's encouraging nod gave him strength. "2 years ago, I came out as gay. Cost me my family's presence today. But it gave me something greater: authenticity." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Ivar continued, his words flowing like a river unleashed. He spoke of societal pressures, the weight of expectations, and the courage it takes to live openly. In a world that often demands conformity, choosing love, real, honest love, is the ultimate act of rebellion. The speech built momentum, weaving personal anecdotes with broader calls for empathy. He mentioned Jordan without naming him, describing how love had been his lifeline. By the end, the auditorium was electric, applause thundering as he stepped down. But that was just the beginning. Unbeknownst to Ivar, a student journalist had live-streamed the speech on social media. Within hours, clips went viral. Local news picked it up, then national outlets. Headlines screamed about the valedictorian abandoned by his family, his poignant words striking a chord in a divided nation. Comments flooded in, supportive messages from strangers, debates on family values versus individual rights, and even backlash from conservative groups labeling it propaganda. Back in Ohio, Ivar's parents watched the footage in stunned silence. Mark's jaw clenched. Linda's eyes filled with tears. Emily, scrolling through her phone, whispered, "He looked so alone up there." The twist was unfolding, and the city, indeed the country, was watching. The viral storm hit like a Midwest tornado, twisting Ivar's personal pain into a public spectacle. By evening, his phone buzzed incessantly with notifications. Friends tagging him in posts, reporters requesting interviews, even a message from a LGBTQ+ advocacy group offering support. Jordan wrapped his arms around him as they sat on their couch, the glow of the laptop screen illuminating their faces. "This is huge, Ivar," Jordan said softly. "Your words are reaching people who need them." But fame came with a price. Trolls emerged from the digital shadows, spewing hate in comment sections. Disgrace to his family, attention seeker. Ivar tried to ignore them, focusing on the positives, like the email from a high school kid saying his speech gave him hope to come out. Yet, the exposure reopened old wounds. That night, as Jordan slept beside him, Ivar lay awake, wondering if his family had seen it. They had. In their modest ranch house in suburban Cleveland, Mark and Linda sat glued to the evening news. The anchor recounted the story with dramatic flair. A heart-wrenching tale of rejection and resilience at the University of Michigan's graduation. Clips of Ivar's speech played, his voice steady but laced with emotion. Mark grunted, turning away. "He's made us the villains," he muttered. Linda, however, couldn't look away. "He sounded so hurt," she said, her voice trembling. Emily, eavesdropping from the hallway, decided enough was enough. She'd always idolized her big brother, his kindness and intelligence a beacon in her own uncertain teenage world. Secretly, she'd followed his life on social media, seeing photos of him and Jordan looking happy, genuine. That night, she texted Ivar, "Saw your speech. Proud of you. Miss you." It was the first contact from home in months, a crack in the wall of silence. The next day, the story escalated. A local Cleveland station ran a segment, interviewing neighbors about the Thompson family. "They're good people," one said, "but times are changing." Another, more bluntly, "If my kid was gay, I'd be there no matter what." The pressure mounted. Mark's co-workers at the factory whispered, some supportive, others judgmental. Linda's church group buzzed with gossip, the pastor preaching about forgiveness but hinting at moral boundaries. Ivar, meanwhile, fielded calls from media outlets. He agreed to an interview with a progressive podcast, where he delved deeper into his story. "It's not just about me," he explained. "It's about every queer kid who's afraid to be themselves because of family or society." Jordan listened in, his pride evident, but worry creased his brow. Their relationship, once private, was now under scrutiny. As the days blurred, a petition circulated online. "Support Ivar Thompson. Demand family reconciliation." Thousands signed, sharing their own stories of estrangement. But not everyone was on board. Conservative commentators decried it as woke culture run amok, arguing that parents have the right to their beliefs. One viral tweet read, "Family values matter. Forcing acceptance isn't love." Amid the chaos, Jordan faced his own demons. Raised in a supportive Latino family in Chicago, he'd never experienced such rejection. "I wish I could fix this for you," he told Ivar one evening over dinner. Ivar squeezed his hand. "You already have. You're my family now." Their bond deepened, conversations turning to future dreams. Marriage, perhaps, or adopting kids. But the public eye added strain. Paparazzi-like fans snapped photos on campus, turning their walks into spectacles. Then came the invitation that changed everything. A spot on a national morning show in New York. "We want to hear your side," the producer said. Ivar hesitated, exposing more felt risky, but Jordan encouraged him. This could help so many. They flew out together, the city lights a dizzying contrast to Ann Arbor's quiet streets. On the show, Ivar sat under bright lights, recounting his journey with poise. The host probed gently. "What would you say to your parents if they were watching?" Ivar paused, emotion welling. "I'd say I love them, and I hope one day they can love all of me." The segment ended with applause, but backstage, Ivar broke down in Jordan's arms. What if this pushes them further away? Unbeknownst to him, back home, Linda was watching, tears streaming. Mark, pretending disinterest, caught glimpses. Emily, bolder now, confronted them. "How can you ignore this? He's your son." The family dinner that night devolved into arguments. Mark defending tradition, Linda torn between faith and maternal instinct, Emily advocating for change. The twist deepened when a leaked audio from Mark's workplace surfaced online. In it, he ranted about the gay agenda ruining families, igniting backlash. Protests formed outside his factory, signs reading "Love is love," clashing with counter-protesters, "Protect family values." The city of Cleveland was divided, debates raging in coffee shops and online forums. Ivar learned of it from a frantic call from Emily. "Dad's in trouble," she said. "People are mad." Guilt washed over him. Had his speech caused this? Jordan reassured him. "You spoke your truth. That's not on you." But the lines blurred, personal pain spilling into societal conflict. As the story spread, invitations poured in, speaking engagements, book deals. Ivar grappled with the attention, questioning if he was ready to be a symbol. Jordan, ever supportive, reminded him, "You're not just a story. You're you." Their love, tested by the spotlight, grew stronger, a quiet anchor in the storm. Yet whispers of doubt crept in. Was reconciliation possible, or had the divide become too wide? The city watched, breath held, as the drama unfolded. The backlash against Mark Thompson hit a fever pitch, turning the family's quiet suburb into a media circus. Reporters camped outside their home, microphones thrust forward for comments. "No statement," Mark barked, slamming the door. Inside, the atmosphere was suffocating. Linda paced the kitchen. Emily retreated to her room, blasting music to drown out the noise. Ivar, back in Ann Arbor, felt the ripple effects. His inbox overflowed with messages, some hateful, others heartfelt. One stood out. An anonymous tip linking to a forum where users doxed his family, sharing addresses and phone numbers. Horror struck him. "This has gone too far," he told Jordan, who nodded grimly. "We need to de-escalate." In a bold move, Ivar posted a video on social media. "I appreciate the support," he said, his voice steady. "But please, leave my family alone. Harassment isn't the answer." The post garnered millions of views, shifting the narrative from vengeance to compassion. Commenters praised his maturity, but skeptics accused him of backpedaling. Meanwhile, in Cleveland, the factory placed Mark on leave amid the controversy. "It's for your safety," his boss said, but Mark saw it as betrayal. Unemployment loomed, adding financial strain to emotional turmoil. Linda, seeking solace, confided in her pastor. "God loves all," he advised. "But love doesn't mean approval." Unsatisfied, she began questioning long-held beliefs, reading articles on LGBTQ+ issues late into the night. Emily, the wild card, took action. She started a secret Instagram account, posting about allyship and sharing resources. One post featured a photo of Ivar from Happier Times, captioned, "My brother deserves love." It gained traction, connecting her with other teens in similar situations. Through it, she messaged Ivar, "I'm trying to change things here." The turning point came when a prominent conservative talk show invited Mark to speak. "Share your side," the host urged. Mark agreed, seeing it as a chance to defend his stance. On air, he spoke haltingly. We raised him right. This choice goes against our values. The host nodded sympathetically, but callers flooded in with challenges. One, a father who'd lost his gay son to suicide, said, "Don't wait until it's too late." Mark faltered, the words hitting home. Watching from afar, Ivar felt a mix of anger and pity. Jordan held him as tears fell. "He's scared," Jordan murmured. "Like you were." Their conversations deepened, exploring forgiveness and boundaries. "I want them back," Ivar admitted, "but not at the cost of who I am." As weeks passed, the story evolved into a broader discussion on generational divides. Panels debated, is rejection ever justified? Schools incorporated Ivar's speech into curricula, sparking student protests for inclusive policies. In Ann Arbor, a rally formed in his honor, with Jordan speaking passionately about resilience. But personal cracks appeared. Jordan's family, though supportive, worried about the toll. His mother called, "Mijo, is this safe?" Jordan reassured her, but doubts lingered. One night, after a heated argument with Ivar over media strategy, Jordan snapped, "This isn't just your fight anymore. It's ours." Ivar pulled him close. "I'm sorry. I couldn't do this without you." The drama peaked at a city council meeting in Cleveland, where activists pushed for anti-discrimination ordinances. Mark, surprisingly, attended not to protest but to listen. Linda dragged him, her quiet determination a force. Speakers shared stories, including a video message from Ivar. Change starts with understanding. Mark shifted uncomfortably, but stayed. Emily's role grew. She organized a school club for LGBTQ+ allies, facing pushback from administrators but persisting. "This is for Ivar," she told friends. Her efforts caught media attention, painting her as the family's voice of reason. Then, the unexpected. A letter from Linda arrived at Ivar's apartment. "I've been thinking," it read. "I miss my son." No apology, but a start. Ivar stared at it, heart racing. Jordan read it over his shoulder. "This could be it," he said hopefully. But caution prevailed. Ivar replied carefully, "I miss you too, but I need acceptance, not tolerance." The exchange opened a fragile dialogue, emails trickling in. Mark remained silent, but Linda hinted at his softening. Society's gaze intensified. A documentary crew approached, wanting to capture the reconciliation or lack thereof. Ivar declined, valuing privacy. Yet, the pressure mounted, with public figures weighing in. A celebrity tweeted support, amplifying the reach. Through it all, Ivar and Jordan's relationship endured, a testament to quiet strength. They stole moments. Picnics in the park, whispered promises, reminding themselves why it mattered. As summer faded, a breakthrough loomed. Emily convinced her parents to meet Ivar halfway, literally at a neutral cafe in Toledo. Nerves frayed, Ivar and Jordan drove there, hope mingling with fear. The meeting was tense. Mark sat rigid, Linda fidgety. Emily mediated. "We saw your speech," Linda began. "It hurt, hearing you say we abandoned you." Ivar nodded. "Because you did." Words tumbled out. Accusations, explanations, tears. Mark finally spoke. "I don't understand it, but you're my boy." It wasn't full acceptance, but a crack. Jordan, observing silently, squeezed Ivar's hand under the table. The city buzzed with rumors of reunion, but reality was messier. Progress was slow, punctuated by setbacks, like Mark's relapse into old rhetoric during a family call. Yet, seeds of change were planted, watered by empathy and time. The tentative reunion in Toledo marked a fragile new chapter, but the path forward was riddled with potholes. Back in Ann Arbor, Ivar dissected the meeting with Jordan over coffee. "It felt real," Ivar said. "But Dad's words were so guarded." Jordan nodded thoughtfully. "Change doesn't happen overnight. Give it time." Emails with Linda became more frequent, sharing mundane updates. Her garden, Emily's school achievements. Mark lurked in the background, occasionally adding a gruff postscript. Ivar responded openly, including snippets about his life with Jordan, testing boundaries. "Jordan and I went to a poetry reading last night," he wrote once. Linda's reply, "Sounds nice. Tell him hello." Society's microscope didn't help. The story had morphed into a symbol for reconciliation efforts nationwide. Organizations cited it in campaigns, urging families to bridge divides. But critics argued it glossed over deep-seated issues, like religious conflicts and generational trauma. In Cleveland, the factory reinstated Mark, but with conditions, sensitivity training. He grumbled but attended, surprised by stories from colleagues. One shared about his transgender niece humanizing the abstract. Mark began questioning his absolutes, though pride kept him from admitting it. Emily thrived as an advocate, her club growing. She faced bullying, notes in her locker calling her a traitor, but stood firm. "This is bigger than us," she told Ivar in a video call. Her courage inspired him, reminding him of his own journey. As fall approached, Ivar landed a teaching assistant position, channeling his experiences into literature classes. Students connected with his authenticity, one confiding his own struggles. "Your story helped," the student said. Ivar smiled. "That's why I share it." Jordan pursued his graphic design dreams, freelancing for queer-friendly brands. Their apartment became a haven, filled with laughter and plans. But the spotlight lingered. A magazine profiled them as the couple at the center of the storm. Photos captured their hand-holding walks, sparking both adoration and vitriol. A major setback hit when a conservative group sued the university, claiming Ivar's speech promoted agenda-driven content at a public event. The lawsuit made headlines, dragging Ivar into legal battles. "This is harassment," Jordan fumed. Ivar, weary, hired a pro bono lawyer from an advocacy group. The case dragged on, depositions revealing ugly prejudices. During this, Mark surprised everyone by calling Ivar. "Heard about the lawsuit," he said gruffly. "That's bull." It was the first direct contact in years, an olive branch wrapped in Midwestern bluntness. They talked awkwardly about weather, then deeper, Mark admitting fear drove his actions. "Didn't want to lose you to that world." Ivar replied gently, "It's not a world, Dad. It's my life." The conversation ended on a high note, with Mark inviting them for Thanksgiving. "Bring Jordan," he added hesitantly. Ivar hung up, stunned. Jordan hooped, pulling him into a dance around the kitchen. But doubts crept in. Was it genuine, or pressure from public scrutiny? Linda assured him in an email, "It's from the heart." Emily texted excitedly, "Can't wait." As the holiday neared, tensions simmered. Jordan's family offered an alternative, but they chose to go, hoping for healing. The drive to Ohio was quiet, hands intertwined. "Whatever happens," Jordan said, "we're together." Arriving, the house smelled of turkey and nostalgia. Emily hugged them fiercely. Linda's embrace was warm, tears in her eyes. Mark shook hands stiffly, but managed a "good to see you." Dinner was a minefield. Small talk flowed, but undercurrents pulled. When Jordan mentioned their anniversary, Mark cleared his throat. "How long?" he asked. 2 years, Ivar said proudly. Linda smiled. Mark nodded. Post-dinner, in the living room, the real talk emerged. "I was wrong to skip graduation," Mark admitted. "Pride got in the way." Ivar's eyes welled. "It hurt, Dad." Linda chimed in, "We're learning. Church has a support group now." Emily beamed. But not all was resolved. Mark struggled with pronouns for a trans friend Ivar mentioned, sparking debate. "I don't get it," he said. Jordan explained patiently, turning it educational. They left with hugs, promises of more visits. On the drive back, Ivar exhaled. "It's a start." Jordan agreed. "Messy, but real." The lawsuit dismissed months later, citing free speech. Ivar's story faded from headlines, but its impact lingered. Policies changed, minds opened. Yet, controversies persisted. Some accused Ivar of exploiting his pain for fame. Others praised his bravery. Family dynamics evolved slowly, with occasional slip-ups but growing understanding. Through it all, Ivar and Jordan's love remained the core, a beacon of authenticity in a judgmental world. As winter set in, Ivar reflected on the whirlwind. Had it been worth it? The pain, the exposure, the fights? With the lawsuit behind them, life settled into a tentative rhythm. Ivar dove into his teaching role, inspiring students with tales of resilience woven into literary analysis. Jordan's designs gained recognition, landing him a steady gig. Their relationship, forged in fire, felt unbreakable, simple dates turning into profound connections. Family visits increased. Christmas in Cleveland was warmer, Mark even asking Jordan about his work. Graphic stuff, huh? Show me sometime. It was progress, clumsy but sincere. Linda baked Ivar's favorite pie, whispering apologies in private moments. Emily, now a senior, planned to attend college near Ann Arbor, excited to be closer. But societal echoes reverberated. Ivar received invitations to speak at events, sharing his journey. At one conference, he met others with similar stories, estranged parents, found families. "You're not alone," he told a young man, echoing Jordan's words to him. Challenges arose. A family gathering turned tense when an uncle spouted homophobic jokes. Mark shut it down. "Not in my house." Ivar blinked in surprise, gratitude swelling. Yet, Mark still attended his conservative church, balancing faith and family. Jordan faced his own adjustments. His outgoing nature clashed with Ivar's introspection at times, leading to arguments. "I feel like a side character in your story," Jordan confessed once. Ivar pulled him close. "You're the co-author." They worked through it, therapy helping navigate the aftermath. As spring bloomed, Ivar proposed to Jordan during a quiet picnic, the same spot as their first kiss. "Will you marry me?" he asked, ring in hand. Jordan's yes was tearful, joyful. They shared the news with families. Jordan's erupted in celebration. Ivar's responded with cautious warmth. "Congratulations," Mark said over the phone. "Proud of you." Planning the wedding stirred old conflicts. Venue choices sparked debates, traditional or modern. Guest lists included allies but excluded bigots. Linda offered to help with decorations, her involvement a healing gesture. The ceremony, held in a sunlit garden in Michigan, was intimate. Emily served as maid of honor. Mark walked Ivar down the aisle, a symbolic mending. Vows exchanged. Rings slipped on. The kiss sealed it amid cheers. But not everyone celebrated. Online, detractors resurfaced, forcing normalization. A distant relative boycotted, citing beliefs. It stung, but Ivar focused on the love surrounding them. Honeymoon in New York, they reflected. From rejection to this, Jordan marveled. Ivar nodded. Proof that love wins, but not without fight. Years passed in the epilogue of their tale. They adopted a child, navigating bureaucracy with family support. Mark, now a grandfather, softened further, bouncing the baby on his knee. The city, once captivated, moved on, but the story inspired change. Laws passed, hearts opened. In quiet moments, Ivar pondered the journey's cost. The pain of abandonment, the thrill of viral fame, the slow grind of reconciliation. Was the family's initial rejection justified by their beliefs, or was it always a failure of love? With the lawsuit behind them, life settled into a tentative rhythm. Ivar dove into his teaching role, inspiring students with tales of resilience woven into literary analysis. Discussions in class often veered into personal territory, with young minds grappling with identity and acceptance. One student, a quiet freshman, approached him after lecture. "Your story saved me," she whispered. "I came out to my parents last week." Ivar's heart swelled. This was the ripple effect he hadn't anticipated. Jordan's designs gained recognition, landing him a steady gig with a progressive agency. His work featured bold, inclusive themes, drawing from their experiences. Evenings found them collaborating, Ivar providing narratives, Jordan visualizing them. "We're a team," Jordan said, kissing Ivar's forehead. Family visits increased, bridging the geographical and emotional gaps. Christmas in Cleveland was warmer than anticipated. The house, decorated with twinkling lights, felt like home again. Mark even asked Jordan about his work, listening intently as Jordan explained a recent project. "Graphic stuff, huh? Show me sometime," Mark said, a hint of curiosity breaking through his gruff exterior. It was progress, clumsy but sincere, evidence that walls could crumble. Linda baked Ivor's favorite apple pie, the aroma evoking childhood memories. In private moments, she whispered apologies, her eyes misty. "I regret so much," she confessed. Ivar hugged her. "We're here now." Emily, now a senior, shared her college plans, aiming for schools near Ann Arbor to be closer. "I want to be part of your world," she said, but societal echoes reverberated, reminding them the battle wasn't over. Ivar received invitations to speak at events, from college campuses to community centers. At one national conference on LGBTQ+ rights, he shared the stage with activists, his voice joining a chorus for change. He met others with similar stories, parents estranged, families found through sheer will. "You're not alone," he told a young man fighting tears, echoing the words Jordan had once given him. Challenges arose, testing the fragile bonds. A family gathering turned tense when an uncle spouted homophobic jokes over dessert. The room fell silent until Mark interjected, "Not in my house. Respect or leave." Ivar blinked in surprise, gratitude swelling. It was a pivotal moment, Mark defending not just his son, but principles of decency. Yet, Mark still attended his conservative church, balancing faith with family in ways that sometimes clashed. Jordan faced his own adjustments in the relationship. His outgoing nature occasionally clashed with Ivor's need for introspection, leading to heated arguments. "Sometimes I feel like a side character in your story," Jordan confessed one stormy night, rain pattering against the windows. Ivar paused, then pulled him close. "You're the co-author, the reason the plot makes sense." They sought therapy, sessions uncovering layers of stress from the public ordeal. It strengthened them, turning vulnerabilities into pillars. As spring bloomed, bringing renewal, Ivar planned a surprise. During a quiet picnic in the park, the very spot of their first kiss, he knelt down. "Jordan Reyes, you've been my rock, my light. Will you marry me?" The ring, simple yet elegant, caught the sunlight. Jordan's yes was tearful, joyful, followed by an embrace that felt like coming home. They shared the news with families over video calls. Jordan's erupted in virtual cheers, his mother already planning outfits. Ivor's response was more measured but warm. "Congratulations," Mark said, his voice thick. "Proud of you, son." Linda beamed, offering to help with whatever they needed. Planning the wedding stirred old conflicts, adding layers of drama. Venue choices sparked debates. Should it be traditional to honor roots, or modern to reflect their identities? Guest lists were scrutinized, including allies but excluding those who'd shown bigotry. Linda stepped up, helping with decorations, her involvement a healing gesture that mended invisible rifts. The ceremony, held in a sunlit garden in Michigan, was intimate and profound. Flowers bloomed vibrantly, symbolizing growth. Emily served as maid of honor, her speech bringing laughter and tears. Mark walked Ivar down the aisle, a symbolic mending of the past, his arms steady. Vows exchanged, rings slipped on fingers. The kiss sealed it amid cheers from loved ones. But not everyone celebrated unconditionally. Online, detractors resurfaced in comment sections, forcing normalization on society. A distant relative boycotted, citing irreconcilable beliefs in a terse email. It stung, a reminder that acceptance wasn't universal. Ivar focused on the love surrounding them, the faces beaming with genuine joy. Their honeymoon in New York was a whirlwind of sights and serenity. Broadway shows, Central Park strolls, quiet dinners. From rejection to this, Jordan marveled as they watched the skyline. Ivar nodded. Proof that love wins, but not without the fight, the tears, the choices. In the years that followed, their story became an epilogue of quiet triumphs. They adopted a child, a little girl named Hope, navigating the bureaucracy with unwavering determination. Family support poured in, Linda knitting blankets, Mark building a crib. As a grandfather, Mark softened immeasurably, bouncing Hope on his knee with a gentleness Ivar hadn't seen before. The city, once captivated by the drama, moved on to new headlines. But the impact lingered. Policies changed in schools and workplaces. Hearts opened in unexpected ways. Ivar's speech was cited in textbooks, a case study in courage. In quiet moments, as Hope slept and Jordan worked nearby, Ivar pondered the journey's true cost. The initial pain of abandonment, the dizzying thrill of viral fame, the slow, arduous grind of reconciliation. It all shaped them. Was the family's initial rejection justified by their deeply held beliefs, or was it always a profound failure of unconditional love?